Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second last Forestry Speed Dating event focused on unlocking forest carbon markets with innovative solutions. I'm Sibe Briers, expert at the European Forest Institute's Bioregions Facility, and I'm happy to moderate today's session. The Forestry Speed Dating series is a dynamic platform that promotes innovative solutions to foster innovation and catalyze collaboration in the regional forest bioeconomy. For those who missed our previous webinars or would like to revisit them, you can watch all the sessions, read our fact sheets, and download the slides on our website and here in the chat. In today's session, to start the webinar, we will have an opening statement from the European State Forest Association, also known as Eustafor, that represents state forest companies, enterprises, and agencies that have sustainable forest management and sustainable wood production as major concerns. Next, you will hear more about the Carbon Forest project launched by State Forest Poland. It aims to enhance forest management practices to increase carbon retention within the forest ecosystem, utilizing advanced models for calculating these changes. And then you will learn more about the Catalan government's new system to certify, trace, and market locally issued climate credits to benefit rural areas by allowing the offsetting of greenhouse gas emissions within the region. Now, this forestry speed dating wouldn't be possible without the great support of our supporting regions, namely the Basque Country, Catalonia, and North Rhine-Westphalia. We also want to thank our partners of this forestry speed dating series, namely the European State Forest Association, the European Circular Bioeconomy Fund, the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation, Bioeconomy Ventures, and Ubuntu.
Thank you, Sibe, for the introduction, and thanks, EFI, for the invitation to speak today. As we are aware, the topic is very important and very timely, actually, all these webinar series. We know that the policymakers, the institutions just agreed on the carbon removal certification regulation, but in general, the contribution of removals is mentioned in climate targets, and the newest one, the 2040 target. Therefore, it's an honor and pleasure to be here and contribute. I'm also happy to see that Eustafor members are here today, presenting practical examples, and I believe that's actually even better insight on the importance and what is being done in practice. What I will a bit focus today in this short speech is how, in general, we see the contribution of forest management for carbon removals. And in that context, we see basically two important aspects. The first one is what maybe it's more known as this like nature-based solutions, sequestration and sink in forest. And we see that forest management here can play a very important role, because with appropriate actions and tools, forests can be modified in a way to keep them healthy and better growing, meaning removing more carbon. And the second one, of course, is afforestation in this context, meaning creating new forests. That one is a bit more, let's say, obvious and when it comes to impacts. And the second group of let's say, important aspects is forest or wood products mostly, which also forest management has an important role to play, because the higher quality wood comes from well-managed forests, and higher quality wood is needed for products, especially long-term products that will not only capture this or lock the carbon, but it will also replace potentially the use of fossil-based products. Nevertheless, as Eustafor represents state forest management organizations, and our key task is sustainable forest management, that the key is always to keep forest long-term healthy and vital and diverse and so on. And this aspect should never come on expense or on the need of polluting sector to offset their emissions. And this is something that has to be kept, at least from our side, that how we see carbon removals as an important tool to help solve the climate change problems. At the same time, we have to keep in mind that the focus when it comes to forest ecosystem should be on keeping healthy ecosystems that can provide also raw material that for products that will substitute as much as possible fossil fuel based products. And actually that would be my key message and a short summary of where we stand. I wish you a very fruitful discussion, and I'm looking forward to see the presentations on more practical implementation and examples. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to represent today the State Forest National Forest Holding in Poland. As I said, I'm the substitute for Joanna Herkowicka, who is the leader, the head of our strategic project, and I work in one of the national facility, and I'm co-worker of Joanna in the project. Let me say something about our organization, who we are. So we are the largest organization in the European that manage public forest. We exist for a century, since the establishment of the State Forest National Forest Holding in 2024. The organization of the state forest is based on the principle of self-financing. It's very important because we do not benefit from taxpayers' money. So self-financing is possible because of the existence of so-called forest fund, and it's some kind of internal financial mechanism. The resources came from, for example, sold wood, some due fees, districts, compensation for damage, and then some forest districts with deficits. They can obtain money for research, education, developments, etc. And now I want to tell something about our structure. So we have general directorates, 17 regional directorates, 430 forest districts, 7 national level departments, and 15 regional level departments. How many employees we have? We have 25,000 of employees, but we co-work with, we outsource actually forest service in timber harvesting and planting, and also we outsource some issue of sawmills, paper mills, furniture industry, and building materials. Our forests, the forests overgrow in Poland 9 million hectares, which 30% of the which is 30% of territory in Poland. There are more and more forests in Poland. For example, the forest cover increased from 21% in the year 1946 to almost 30% now. And we assume an increase in forest cover and at the level of 33% in 2050. The lowlands and highlands, the most common tree species is Scotch pine. It's almost 60%. In the mountains, the dominant species is spruce in western part, or spruce and beech in eastern part. Polish forests usually consist of 3 stands age from 41 to 80 years. The average forest age is 60 years, and the number of tree stands age over 8 years is rising. Since the end of the World War II, the area increased from 9.09 million hectares up to 2.3 million hectares. What can I say? We increase in the share of deciduous trees. Now it's 30% of the forests, and 77 when we talk about forest ownership, 77% percentage is management by the state forest. The rest is some personal property, national parks, but it's not a huge number. It's 1%, and some other private, etc. And what I want to say today, the state forests, we are more than just trees. We are aware that state forests are an organization that manage a vast area of Poland and has its disposal a great variety of resources, not only natural one. We cannot remain indifferent to the challenges and obligations facing our country in relation to climate change, especially as its effects also threaten the forests whose preservation in good condition for future generation. Key actions to accelerate Poland's energy transition and protect the climate from global warming are reducing greenhouse gas emissions, increasing carbon dioxide absorption, increasing energy production from renewable sources, and efficient and economical use of energy. One of the strategic projects which was launched in forest in National Forest Holding is the Forest Carbon Project. It was an implementation project of the implementation project was Forest Carbon Farms. It was a pilot project, and now we're going to finish this project. And last year we started the Forest Carbon Project. The activity proposed in the project have been verified by the previous one project. It was a pilot, and the aim was to increase carbon accumulation by forest through afforestation of non-forest and forest land, introducing undergrowth and underplanting, promoting good practices in the process of preparing soil for reseeding or restoration, diversification of species composition, and promoting natural regeneration. Since 2018, additional carbon dioxide reduction have been made available by the Forest Carbon Farms project in the form of so-called carbon dioxide units. That units are purchased on the voluntary basis and provide added value in the PR areas of the partners of the state forests. Auction proceeds are earmarked for purposes designed by individual buyers. They can choose some form of it, from programs to protect endangered species, to build forest tourism infrastructure, to buying up land for reforestation. As part of carbon forest project, we aim to obtain a credible international standard that will confirm the removal of non-emission of the center a certain amount of carbon dioxide by forests. The formal equivalent of a ton of carbon dioxide will be a so-called carbon credit, a type of financial instrument. We want to offer high quality offset credits. We will make carbon credits available on a voluntary markets for trading carbon dioxide emissions reduction units. They are acquired by companies that have already estimated their carbon footprint and can neutralize part of it buying carbon credits. In this way, they pursue various objectives in the field of corporate social responsibility or no financial corporate activities. What is also a big issue for us, we want to calculate our carbon footprint. In 2023, we measured carbon footprint of 6 state forest units. Krucz, Oborniki, Dębica General Directorate, 1 regional and 1 national facility, which I represent today. It was on a pilot basis. And now, this year, we want to measure carbon footprint for the whole organization. And as you can see, we have a huge amount of the unit. The structure is quite complicated, so it's not so easy. It was all for today. Thank you.
First of all, thanks to European Forest Institute and Bioregions Facility to invite us to present our climate credit system. I will share with you my presentation. This is really new initiative. We were working for 5 years in this project, but finally last December was approved by the government, and we are already working on it. Well, I will do a really short introduction about the legal framework, and then I will go into the methodology and how it works, this new climate forest credit system. Okay, as probably most of you know, there are different markets in carbon. We have the mandatory one, the first on the left, the mandatory. For example, in Europe, we have the emissions trading system, no? These European industrial energy facilities that forced companies, big companies mainly, to participate and buy the rights to do the emissions. And now currently the prices are around 90 euros the ton of CO2. Then we have our option that is a voluntary market but self-regulated. We propose and we approve the rules of this project, following, of course, the European Union Reglement. Still has to be approved, but we follow this methodology, and mainly is to the goal of this voluntary market is to reduce absorbed greenhouse gases. But as I will explain you, we go further, we go beyond these absorptions with all another positive trade-offs. This is inspired mainly on the United Nations article of Paris Agreement also, and we have a public methodology. Is open to everybody to check, and we have a independent third-party auditors with a unified registration, and we apply for a mixture of gold standard and VCS standard. We call it PBComp. This is our name because it mixed a bit both standards because we have some previous initiative in compensation about energy, not about forestry. Okay, this is, as you probably all know, the regulation of the European Union. We have now a provisional political agreement between the Parliament and the Council. And as you know, this market has to be permanent removal or long-term atmospheric and biogenic carbon. And this carbon has to be stored in long life products. No? As a wood-based construction products, or at least 35 years, and we monitor these absorptions and this capture for all this time. Then we have also developed. This is not the main, but also agricultural and blue carbon. I will explain a little bit at the end, and also includes like a reduction of nitrous oxide and other emissions. Okay, this is the 4 basic principles of our system according to the reglement. First is about this quantification and methodology. We regard a reference baseline. We have on a start. We force this additionality beyond legal requirements, and to try to search this incentive effect on certification. Then, as I told you before, this is all long-term permanence of absorptions, not short time. And this fourth leg of the reglement that we really work on it, about no impact on other environmental vectors, and even try to introduce positive values, like positive trade-offs. I will explain you which ones we work on it and we include. That's why we don't talk about carbon market. We talk about climate credits, and you will discover why now. At the end, we just say that probably everybody knows here in this meeting, but the first is to reduce. Our goal is to reduce emissions in Catalonia, and then compensate what we cannot reduce. I mean, when companies comes to us, the first thing we say, okay, first reduce, and then if you cannot reduce because this is process emissions or whatever it is, you can compensate. And now this is going really powerful, because as you know, there is the reglement of the non-financial reporting for big companies, that they forced to explain where they compensate their emissions. Then this makes our market really interesting for companies and organizations. Moreover, as I told you, this market has a public trustable methodology. You know, this is Catalonia is a government of Catalonia is a public institution, and even more transparent than expected. Everything is available for check. Then we have this focus on verification and certification for independent, external, from landowners and institutions, administration, companies, like auditors. And we have this single register. We are developing now the platform that is blockchain, to avoid, like previous experiments we have in carbon market, that some credits absorptions were sold twice. Everybody remembers Vera issue. Then we have previous experiences in Generalitat. It's not our first program in carbon absorptions, but is the first in the forest field. We have one program with 13 years. This is voluntary reductions program of CO2, and since 2015 we have a compensation program, but is in energy production. The compensation is about energy production, not on forest management. Okay, let's go to the climate credit system. The agreement of the government was on 19 December of 2023. I mean, just 2 months. But as I told you, we were working in a live program called Live Climate for 4 years. And in this program, as I will tell you later, we develop the methodology, the how to monitoring, how to calculate the absorptions, how to certificate all the aspects of the system. And then in this agreement, we create this system with three legs, three areas. One is forest, one is agricultural, soil, carbon soil on the agricultural activities, and the third one is the blue carbon. Now, in this agreement, only we have the scheme of operation, the methodology of the first one. The first one is the forest management marker, carbon marker. Okay, and agricultural and blue carbon will be development in next 2 years, and probably at the end of 25 we will have in real fire. Okay, let's go. As you told you, this program, this system was designed thought in this live climate where scientists, landowners, and administration work together for design and think about this forest climate market credits. And here you have the reference. If you want to check the website, you have lots of information about all aspects of this market. Okay, it was called Life Climate, Behind Carbon, and why Behind Carbon. Then let's go. How it works? This market is the owner, public or private, is a landowner, forest owner, make a project. We call it PROMAC. PROMAC. This project includes for natural services, ecosystem services, as you want, environmental services. One and the main is, of course, carbon fixation, absorptions on the forest, on the soil. The second one, because we are in a Mediterranean region and really with big drought, really less water than other areas in Europe, is about blue water, to produce with forest management blue water to make it available on the rivers. The third aspect that we calculate is the increase of biodiversity conservation with this forest management. And the last one, also because we are really Mediterranean and fire belongs to our ecosystems, is fire risk reduction. With all these variables, these aspects, we calculate a price of the credit and on a big project. I must say that the projects are huge. We focus on make resilient landscapes. It's not about small pieces of forest. We work in valleys, we work in big areas, you know, to reduce the vulnerability to climate change, to increase adoption of big landscapes. It's not about only forest management, has multifunctional goals. Okay, this project is approved and the climate credits are fixed, then we go to the buyer entity, mainly companies, but not only, also public organizations, NGOs, or particulars can buy credits. But mainly it's focusing on companies, because companies they will be forced to compensate their emissions. Okay, and they do it for three reasons. First one, of course, is RSC, is corporate social responsibility. There are many companies that they want to collaborate with environmental issues. Another one is about reputation, because these projects, as I will tell you before, are quite expensive. The credit is not cheap, but you invest in landscape, you invest in country, you invest in improve the land. Not only you don't only buy absorptions of CO2, that also you buy absorptions, carbon, but also you invest in to make a better and more resilient country. And the third one is the economic contribution, of course, to local environment. More like local markets also has this issue. This is the main. There are more detail on the website, but I will make it short because we have 15 minutes. Okay, which were our main goals when we create this market? Of course, the first one, increase the multifunctional forest management through mitigation and adaptation projects, because this is really important for us. This project is not only about mitigation, as I told you before, it's also about adaptation project. I mean, with these credits, we focus on these two goals. We want to absorb more carbon, additionally, of natural absorption, but also we want to make this forest more resilient and more adapted to the next scenarios of climate change. And the second goal is to integrate the institutions and the owners, is a public-private, and the role of us as administration is to validate and make this, I would say, serious proceeding in the process of selling, to guarantee the owners and the buyers everything is with official guarantee. Okay. And of course, based on co-governance between companies and owners. Well, and then to end, a little bit about agricultural climate credits. This is, we are modeling now, developing now the methodology. We are a bit like a further step, and it will work also with the methodology of the carbon absorption by the European Union. Here we have the goal, the challenge more than the goal, that there is not a lot of information about a Mediterranean soil. I mean, North Europe, they have a lot of literature, scientific literature. Here we have some, but we have to develop still how much the agricultural practice and the Mediterranean soils can absorb. And the last one will be the blue carbon. This is, we didn't even already start. We have the first studies to develop a methodology to calculate how undersea ecosystems and wetlands can absorb additionally more carbon. And thank you very much. This is where I work. If you want to check also, is in English, the website. Thank you.